Hey, this is Andrew with Griffin Drones located here in Nebraska. If you're watching this video, you're probably a little bit interested in learning about some thermal pet or livestock recovery today. We want to go over a couple quick Q&A type of questions that we get often, and we're just going to put this in this video format here. As we go through, we'll try to make sure that down in the description below, if you're watching this on YouTube, we do have the timestamps for each specific question. So if there's only one question you have, particularly that we answer today, we'll have those timestamps down below for you to click on. All right, guys. So that first question we have here is, what is a thermal drone pet and livestock recovery, and how does it work? So a thermal drone pet or livestock recovery is kind of what it sounds. Essentially, we're going to be putting up a thermal drone equipped with a high definition thermal camera to scour a specific search area. This technology is similar to what you would see used in the fire rescue service, you would see used by search and rescue teams, and you would see used by law enforcement out there. And it's becoming more prevalent throughout the country. And moving this into the private sector to help people locate things like pets and livestock is adding a whole nother dimension and a whole other capability when one of these animals go missing that has never really been available before. If we were to look back 15 to 20 years ago, this type of technology that we can bring out to help assist you in finding your missing livestock, your missing pets, is technology that used to require millions of dollars worth of equipment to have and put airborne, like what we can do today at a much cheaper rate for you guys. How this specific process works once we're out there is, as we kind of mentioned, we'll get this aircraft airborne. Once it's airborne, we'll start searching in areas right around where the animal was last seen or the most recent sightings. If it's been a little while since we've had a sighting, then we are going to start searching in those areas where we believe that animal is most likely to go based off the local terrain, based off information you can provide to us through questions that we're going to ask. Typically, if we can, we prefer to work in a grid pattern. We prefer to go from the most outward area of the search area in. And the reason we do that is if we're searching out to in and that animal is happen to be moving away from the location, we're most likely to catch them if they are still within that search area. Question number two, how effective is a thermal drone recovery? So if you're currently missing an animal and you're watching this, I'm just going to be transparent with you. These recoveries are going to be a lot dependent on the weather, and it's going to be a lot dependent on the time frame in which we're able to get out there and the terrain in which we're able to operate in. So, for example, if you're watching this and this is something where you had an animal go missing, say within the last 12 to 24 hours, that is going to be most effective time frame to call us. Or if you've had a sighting within the last 12 to 24 hours, essentially as close as you can to when that animal disappeared or when that animal was last sighted that we're contacted, the more the likelihood is of us actually locating that animal. It is going to depend a little bit on the animal out there in question, but some animals, especially for example, certain breeds of dogs, they can cover very vast distances very quickly. Unlike larger things like livestock, they can squeeze through fences. They can get quite a distance away compared to some animals out there. So the sooner you contact us, the better. It's going to give us a much more likelihood of locating that animal. Some other factors that we want to consider as well as your terrain. If you're out in a rural environment, you have a pretty wide open area, our recovery efforts are going to be more effective. We definitely can cover a lot more terrain to help you out, especially as well if it's a little cooler conditions out. That's going to allow the thermal camera to work to its most effectiveness. Because keep in mind, this is a thermal camera, it's not X ray. We can't see through objects. We can only detect the heat signatures on the ground, and then we investigate further from there. So cooler weather conditions is going to be the best case scenario. So that would also be things like overcast conditions if it's summer out or after it's just rain, stuff's going to be more cooled down. Heat signatures from animals are going to reflect out there more effectively for us to spot. Um, so again, kind of as we brought up here, there's not really a specific number I can throw out, but there are just conditions. And those conditions are kind of what would be the most determining factor on if this recovery has the best chance of success or not. Okay, question number three here. What is the step by step process if you contact us here at Griffin Drone Solutions for a thermal pet or livestock recovery? So, the first thing you're going to do when you do reach out to us here is we're going to ask you some basic questions. Keep in mind, we are a 24/7 service. So, while we may not immediately be able to respond, we are technically open 24/7. If you do reach out, we do tend to pick up that phone, whether it's going to be 3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning. So the first thing, again, just reach out to us. We're going to ask you those basic set of questions. That's going to be what type of animal we're missing, what breed, what's the age of the animal, and we're going to be asking your location where that animal was last spotted or where they disappeared from. Once we've gathered this information, typically myself or one of our other pilots, whoever you're speaking with at the time, is going to pull the location up on a map. Pretty quickly, we're going to look over some information about that location. We're going to see if there's any flight restrictions, if we need to get approval to fly there, or if this is an area we can just go fly right off the bat. We're going to determine really what's the best search areas unless there's contradictory information otherwise. So, for example, if you have a direction to travel for that animal, that's going to help us gauge which direction to go when we do arrive on scene and where we're going to be starting our search. Now, once we receive that information, we'll talk over what that price point would be with you guys. That price can vary a little bit on that initial call out, depending on the distances and things like that. But we'll be able to get you that price right off the bat. We don't want you to be surprised. If you agree with that price point, then we're going to be able to go out, get on scene with you. First thing we're going to do once we're on scene, make contact with you guys, because I do want to point out, while we're good at locating those animals, if we have the right information, we're not the ones that are going to go out and recover the animal. That is still going to be you guys as the owner. So again, our initial steps just going to be to get in contact with you guys. Once we have that contact made, we'll determine, if we haven't already, where a good launch point is, and then we're going to go set our equipment up. The equipment we have out here is going to be what's behind me. I'll break this down in another question for you guys. Once we are out there, we have our equipment set up, we're launched in the air, we're going to start committing our search. When we go through that search, we're just going to go through step by step. We're going to systematically search those areas we've talked about and determine we believe that animal is most likely in. And typically, again, depending on the situation, we'll either start with the area we believe is the most likely, or we can start with that area that is the furthest out and systematically work in. It's just going to be kind of situationally dependent. Um, Moving forward from there, once we investigate these areas, if we do actually find the animal, we'll keep our drone on station. You'll be right there with us. Typically, our clients will be watching on this portable monitor that's behind me, and that'll allow you to also see what we're seeing while we're flying the drone. Once we've located a signature that we believe is the animal, or in most cases we determine is the animal from the aircraft, we'll provide you that location, and you guys can go out, retrieve your animal safe and sound, hopefully. And then at that point, we'll be able to square up with you guys and get out of your hair. And the final question I have today that we're going to talk a little bit about is, what equipment do we use here at Griffin Drone Solutions? So the first thing I'm going to show you is going to be our Matrice 30T. This is a drone made by DJI. It's a Chinese company. Unfortunately, there's not really any American companies that make anything that is honestly equivalent to this that we would feel comfortable flying in a life or death situation, whether we're talking the life or death of a human being, the life or death of an animal. Either way, from our perspective, we want to treat it the same. We want the best equipment out there in the field. And from our perspective, that's going to be the DJI Matrice 30T, which is this drone right here. Now, a big advantage with this drone is on this camera payload right here is we have 3 different cameras. We have a wide-angled camera that's going to allow us to scour wide areas. Essentially, you can see an overall view of the area we're going to be searching or working in. We have a zoom camera. That zoom camera goes up to 200 times zoom. So that's going to allow us to zoom in very close on objects, even while we're 300 to 400 feet up in the air, and determine exactly what it is we're looking at. I can tell you from personal experience being out in recoveries, using that zoom camera, we've located thermal signatures we can't identify up in a tree or in tree lines, and been able to zoom in enough to see that it's a baby raccoon or a squirrel hanging out in a tree branch. So we can identify almost anything out there if we have the lighting conditions appropriate from a very vast distance, to save us a lot of time on the ground and save you guys a lot of time on the ground searching for animals in areas and chasing after false leads. And then the main reason, the big thing on this drone is going to be our thermal sensor. That thermal sensor is what is going to be allowing us to really look through and determine stuff in very large areas very quickly. Essentially, while we have the visual cameras, those visual cameras aid much so in identifying the target that we're seeing. The thermal camera is what points us to that target. It's going to help us identify, a heat signature the size of a puppy in a 100-acre field. So that is why we're bringing this drone out. That is why we specifically have chosen this drone to be out there, is that capability. And it's also, again, that capability that's trusted by most professional search and rescue teams, fire departments, and law enforcement agencies throughout the country on local and state levels. Now, the next piece of equipment that we do bring out with us is going to be a portable power generator. That portable power generator here is what's going to allow us to keep our batteries charged and run our portable monitors while we're out in the field. So we at least want to have that capability to be out there as long as you want us out there. And that's why we're going to bring a portable power generator out with us. The next item you're going to see as well, and this is, in my opinion, the most important to you specifically as the client, is going to be a portable monitor. It's going to be like this guy right here. And you may not be able to see it too well. We typically tuck it back under like a tonneau cover or the hatch of a vehicle to give it a little bit more shade for you to have better visual on it. But that monitor is going to allow you the ability to see exactly what we're seeing on the drone. So when we're out there, we're zooming in on thermal signatures and then switching over to our zoom camera. You can see exactly what we're seeing to help make the best determination. Is this a spot you want to investigate further, or identifying if it is the correct animal that we're looking for? You're also going to see us bring out some supplemental equipment. Like we do have a case back here. And in this case back here, we're just going to be carrying things like a spotlight that we mount on the drone. So if we're working in less than ideal lighting conditions, we have a spotlight we can mount on the drone. It's going to give us some great capability to shine down, identify signatures, even in the darkest hours of the night. We're going to be carrying several extra batteries as well as what's in the drone case. And we're also going to be carrying some equipment like two-way portable radios. So even in areas with spotty cell reception, we can keep in contact with you as the client when you go out to investigate signatures. And we're going to carry some other additional equipment like Write in the Rain notebooks, pencils, flashlights, your basic stuff that you're going to need to keep your equipment going. Now, I know that probably isn't every question out there today, but those are the four most common questions that we seem to get when people call in and want to talk to us. If you do have any additional questions, or you're in a situation where you do feel like our services may be beneficial to you, please do not hesitate to reach out. Give us a call here at Griffin Drone Solutions. We service eastern Nebraska and western Iowa primarily. But depending on the situation, if you feel this is a service that may benefit you and you're outside of our normal area, definitely give us a call. We're more than willing to travel, especially to help people out in a situation that's needed. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us here, and you have a good day.